Well, let's get more on this now from Klaus Larres, a Professor of History and International Affairs at the University of North Carolina. He joins us now from Chapel Hill. Good to have you on the program, Professor. Germany is coming under increasing pressure from Ukraine and other European countries to do more to support Kiev's war effort. Has Berlin's response been inadequate so far? And how would you explain Germany's more cautious approach to supplying Ukraine with more advanced weapons?
Well, Germany has done quite a bit. Behind the United States, together with Britain, it is really the country which has delivered most weaponry and other support mechanisms to Ukraine. But of course, Western countries are asked to do more. The Ukrainian government is constantly asking for example, main battle tanks. Now the British have said they will deliver their own 14 Challenger tanks, the main British battle tank, a very powerful tank. And the Ukrainians would like Leopard 2 weapons or tanks, which have been manufactured in Germany. And Germany needs to give permission to Poland and Finland, for example, who want to give these weapons, these tanks to Ukraine, because they were manufactured in Germany. And if they want to re-export these tanks, the Polish and the Finns need to get permission from Berlin. And Berlin is hesitating because it doesn't want to escalate the crisis in Ukraine. They are afraid that the war will only become more terrible, that the Russians will resort to to the use of even more terrible weapons, not least nuclear weapons. But in the end, I think Chancellor Scholz will give permission that Poland and Finland can re-export the Leopard 2 battle tank.
Now, Germany's response couldn't be more different to the US approach, which has been by far the biggest supplier of weapons to Ukraine. A group of Ukrainian troops has now arrived in the US for training on the US Patriot missile defense system that's been promised to Kiev. Can such advanced weapons prevent tragedies such as what we saw in Dnipro?
Probably not. The terrible situation in Ukraine is bound to last as long as the war lasts. But the West doesn't want Russia to win. And it is feared that Russia may embark on a new spring offensive. They're mobilizing more troops. They're certainly training their mobilized troops. They are expecting perhaps that there might be a second mobilization drive. And it is clear that Russia should not be allowed to win the war so that an aggressor can actually conquer territory and get away with it. The Ukrainians certainly would never accept that, and they themselves probably intend to embark on a spring offensive. They want to recapture the whole of Donbass, certainly eastern Donbass, and also Crimea. They want to make sure that Russia leaves all of Ukrainian territory as it was recognized by the international community in 1991. And the West increasingly knows how resilient the Ukrainians are, how aggressive the Russians conduct their warfare against civilians, against infrastructure, against the energy grid. And increasingly, there's a rethinking among Western countries, including the United States and including Germany and other main NATO countries. And they are now supporting Ukraine with much more powerful weapons than initially. So that hesitancy that they had to not provoke Russia, that is gradually disappearing because of the Russian onslaught and the terrible way of warfare. We have to bear in mind the Russians are not just attacking military targets and soldiers. They're deliberately attacking civilians and infrastructure and apartment buildings. That is, of course, a war crime under international law. And that is increasing the resistance and the feeling that the Russians need to be stopped. Otherwise, that will never come to an end.
Okay, Professor Klaus Larres, we will have to leave it there, but really good to get your analysis on the program. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.